everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and many people lately have been asking me what case to use. Should they use Apple cases? Should they use the silicone case? Maybe the leather case? Maybe the clear case? Or maybe no case at all. Lately, in some recent ads, Apple actually is pushing the durability of the phone and showing it without a case at all. And with all the alternative case brands out there or not using a case at all, it just may not be worth it. So I thought we'd talk about all of those things, which one is right for you, and also show you some durability examples based off cases that have been used by my family in the past. In fact, these are my daughter's phones and my wife, so we'll take a look at these in just a moment. But first, let's start with the silicone cases. Apple has been making silicone cases since the beginning, and here's an older one, basically around the iPhone X era. And you can see here's another one. And depending on how you use them, what type of clothing you're wearing, whether that be tight-fitting jeans where you're moving them in and out of your pocket, this makes a very big difference to things such as the bottom here on some of the cases. Where the bottom is opened up, it actually makes a difference, and these flex and then break over time. So before, with previous phones, before the squared off edges of the iPhone 12 and 13 phones, the bottom of these cases was open, and so the silicone cases would wear out, and for quite some time, Apple would actually just replace these under warranty if that happened, but then they stopped at some point a few years ago, and you would just have to buy another one. Now, sometimes they hold up well, sometimes they don't, but as you can see, this one is pretty beat up. It's got some pieces missing from it, actually, from the very bottom. It's pulled away from it. And as you can see on the 11 Pro Max case here, the same thing is starting to happen. So you can see it's pulling away from the bottom of the case just from removing it regularly, taking it off to clean it, check your phone, and more. So sometimes the cases were okay, sometimes they weren't. But the original silicone cases over time seem to all do this at the bottom, especially if you were wearing jeans that might be a little bit tighter. This would wear much more quickly than maybe some other cases. But Apple's silicone cases have improved over time. Now, there are exceptions to that. This is my wife's phone. This is a 12 Pro. And as you can see, they closed the bottom of the case. And this is actually held up really well. She changes these seasonally, as I tend to get different cases and review them. She changes them seasonally, but one case she had in particular, which is sort of a blue fog case, or cloud blue case rather, this one actually wore pretty badly. It started to stain, and she hasn't used them any differently whatsoever. She typically puts them maybe in a purse, puts them in a car on the charger, puts them on a nightstand at night, and that's it. They're not going into pockets typically, and they started to wear really badly on the outside edges. This is the only time I've seen this. So for some reason, just this color seems to do this. I haven't heard of too many others with this same experience. But the later design cases from the iPhone 12 and later seem to hold up really, really well. They're durable, the button areas hold up well, and they don't seem to break apart. And the same is true on this one. This is one of my daughter's cases that she actually dropped this while riding a golf cart. It actually dropped it and nicked the case. She actually scuffed the bottom of it on some of them. Now, as you can see, it has a screen protector on it. It's cracked. I need to replace that. But the case actually took the brunt of the damage when it fell a couple times, and she's not the carefulest with her phone. They're not like me as far as the way I take care of my phone, where I don't even use a case. So it's actually protected it quite well. If we take this off, it's held up. There's no nicks or scratches around the outside edge. It's done a really good job of protecting the phone. So that's good. It seems to work well. And that moves me over to the leather cases, because they're a little bit different. Now, with the leather cases, they tend to wear over time. They get a patina on them. As you can see here, this is one of my other daughter's phones, and it's quite worn out. It's got a lot of wear marks on it, but it's protected the phone. So you'll see it's protected the outside edges. It's even starting to peel in some areas, but she's dropped this on concrete. She's been pretty rough on it, but it's protected the phone. Again, she has a screen protector on it. It's got a bunch of fingerprints on it. It's a little nicked in the corner, but the phone overall is okay, and the case is doing its job. It's the leather case, and it has metal buttons, so that's always nice. And then inside, does a great job because it's microfiber. just like all of their leather cases. And that's true on an older one. You can see here, this is probably the most patinaed case I have, where this was on an iPhone 10 for quite some time. It's worn all over the place, but the bottom did not start to come apart. These seem to be much more durable as far as the leather goes than the silicone in my experience. They are more expensive, they have metal buttons, and they seem to hold up well, but they get a nice patina on them. I know of someone that actually I worked with that put some baseball mitt oil on this, or baseball glove oil, and kind of got it to look like this also in a look that they enjoyed. So that's something you'll see it wears like that. I also have one on my iPhone 8 Plus here that's kind of got a lot of nicks and scratches in it, but it's protected it very well, and it's sort of worn down in the corners, but it hasn't broken apart. It's keeping the phone safe and doing its job. Of course, Apple today has these leather slip cases. I'm not a huge fan of these. I think they're extremely expensive for what they are. And then, of course, you can just slide your phone in and out of it, and they're magsafe and everything else. They are nice. It will show you the time, but you can't really answer the phone. You can't slide to answer or anything. So I think that was a missed opportunity there, but they will hold a card, just a little card here, maybe an Apple card or a license. But other than that, I don't think these cases are particularly worth it, but they are nice. And there is a case that I really liked that they made some time ago that's leather, and that's a folio case. This seems to be a softer leather, and it held up really well also. Again, it's got some scrapes on it, some bumps. It was used years ago, and it's held up pretty well. But in general, I think the leather case is a good buy, but quite expensive. Now that moves me on to the clear case, and a lot of people say these are way too expensive for what they are. The clear cases are very nice in the sense that they don't yellow over time, at least in my experience. This is an iPhone XR, and the one issue I have with them is they tend to crack at the bottom. Again, the weak point is at the bottom, where you actually have these opened up like this. You can see there's a weak point here. When you push these off, it can crack, and that's exactly what happened here. It protected the phone, but it actually cracked it. So here you can see this is cracked. It still holds the phone fine. It hasn't even come apart down at the bottom, and it hasn't yellowed at all. The buttons still feel like they did before, but again, it's developed another crack on the edge. So these tend to crack over time, but still protect the phone, but they don't seem to yellow. The same is true with the MagSafe case. So you can see there's a slight difference, but not like some of the cheaper cases where they yellow dramatically. So they will change a little bit, but nothing like the cheaper cases. Now, as far as which case would be right for you, that's going to be dependent on a few different things. Some of it comes down to texture. I really like the texture of the silicone cases. Apple's really good at textures of devices and all of the aesthetics overall, and they're quite good, but if you wear tight clothing, maybe skinny jeans, they're very difficult to get in and out of your pocket. So that's something that these will stick. They'll give you more grip to hold on to with the silicone, and they're quite nice that way. I typically recommend these to people that drop their phones a lot as they're easier to hang on to. However, they do seem to wear more quickly. If you want something a little bit nicer that's easier to manage, if you're slipping this in and out of a pocket that's tight, leather would be the way to go there with Apple, as long as the price is okay. So you will get that patina on it, like I showed here, and they do seem to protect just as well and give you a little bit more premium feel with the metal buttons on the side. So I can recommend the leather ones if maybe you were looking for something that's not quite as sticky feeling. Now, the silicone does not seem to gather a ton of lint in my experience, but the leather ones definitely don't, but they are a little bit more slippery. Now, of course, there's the clear cases as well. So if you want a clear case, Apple's clear cases tend to be a little expensive for what they are, and they do show that MagSafe ring on the latest ones. So they are very nice if you want to show your phone through them, show the different colors behind it. It's really nice to show that off. So I can recommend them if you want a clear case, but again, they're a little bit slippery and sometimes almost greasy or slimy feeling, depending on if you have lotion on your hands or maybe you just have oily hands in general. If not, and they're dry, these will be fine. And again, they don't seem to yellow over time. Now, of course, the fourth option is not using a case at all. I typically go without a case, but I am very careful with my phones. I have dropped my phone once and had it scratch. I'm not sure how it's scratched. I've showed this in different videos. There's some scratches on the edge here, But other than that, I'm typically very, very careful with my devices, and I don't like a case because I like the overall texture of it, and I have Apple Care. So if I crack my phone, I can bring it into Apple, they'll fix it for me. However, if you don't have an Apple repair center nearby, or you just don't want to deal with that altogether, or you don't have Apple Care, then definitely get a case and screen protector. But typically, I would recommend any of these based on your use case, whether that be you need something that's a little bit more grippy, versus premium, versus I just want a clear plastic case and I want to see the color of my phone. Any of them are fine, but that's how they hold up over time. So with kids using them, they will wear out a little bit more quickly, it seems, but they do tend to protect the phone. I'd love to hear from you whether or not you use a leather case, a silicone case, or a clear case in the comments below, and whether or not you think Apple cases are worth it, or what you think is the best alternative available if you don't use one of Apple's cases. Of course, if you'd like to get the wallpaper I have on my iPhone, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.